I wanted to respond to this comment on YouTube to our video about moving back to Chicago. What are the reasons that we moved back from Puerto Vallarta back to Chicago? Was it the inflation? Was it the remote work? Or was it the schooling for our kids? And I have to kind of go backwards and start with the last one. So as you know, we have two boys, Philip and Benji. They're 5 and 4, and Philip is going to first grade starting August. In COVID, they didn't go to school. They were at home with us, and then we moved to Puerto Vallarta, and we are Polish. We speak Polish as our first language at home full-time. And in Mexico, they went to Mexican school, so they learned Spanish. So basically, they spoke Polish as a first language, then Spanish, but now Philip goes to first grade, and his English was very limited, and they are American-born, American citizens, so I think we owe it to them that they speak proper English with American accent when they grow up. I know that that was a challenge for me. I am an immigrant from Poland, and I had a very heavy accent in the beginning, struggling with English language, so I know that in the professional world it could be a disadvantage, especially for them since they are born here. I think English should be their first language, and they can only master English by going to school here in the United States, at least for a few years. So that was always our priority. We always knew that we're gonna come back here, and it was a great experience in Mexico. We're extremely grateful for all the friends that we met in Mexico, and that we all actually learned Spanish. Paulina probably perfected her Spanish. I learned Spanish from scratch. The boys learned Spanish, so this will give them a great foundation. But basically, we knew that we're gonna come back here, so the moment we found a house in the right school district where Paulina grew up and went to school, we just grabbed it. Like we mentioned, we bought the house sight unseen, and we just flew in here for one day for closing. We went back to Mexico while the house was being remodeled here, and we just came back whenever it was ready. So once we moved back to Chicago, this brings us to point number 2, the inflation. Our cost of living went way up. Just a quick example, swimming lessons for both boys twice a week. Back in Mexico, we're paying about $45 a month. Here for a 6-week session, only once a week, 30-minute lesson, we're paying close to $600. So it was much more expensive, pretty much across the board. We drive more, we spend more money on gas, more money on food, more money on everything. So we had to get a second income. So Paulina had to go back to work, and since she's in a healthcare business, she actually has to work in person. She cannot do it remotely. And the reason why we went back to Chicago was pretty much all our connections in Chicago. I've lived here for 20 years. Paulina was born here. So we are pretty much one phone call away from getting everything done, whether we need a real estate agent, a lawyer, a car mechanic, a plumber. We always know someone who knows someone. So our network of friendships and people that we know is pretty set, and if we were to move back to any other city in America, we'd have to start from scratch, and we didn't want it to do it with little kids and when Philip is starting the first grade. But after being here for some time, we definitely dislike the weather. We know that this is a big disadvantage to the children. Back in Mexico, they stayed outside for a very long time, basically all day long. The school was outside, the after-school activities were outside. When they came back home, they just jumped in the pool and stayed outside until it was bedtime. And here, they definitely get more screen time. They watch their tablets more. They stay inside because it's either snowing, raining, or it's -20, and there's just basically physically there's nothing you can do outside. You have to be indoors, and this is something that we hate about Chicago. We love everything else about Chicago, so there is a very high chance that we will be looking into moving to a warmer climate, and we're not sure where.